2024, we're going to make Donald Trump a loser again. You just inject a little bleach in your veins. He missed it, all went to his hair. I shouldn't have said that. Think about the guys you grew up with you'd like to get into the corner and just give them a straight left. I'm not suggesting we hit the president. Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause.
Tough guy Joe Biden's talking a big game about beating Donald Trump, both at the ballot box and with a left hook. As usual, it was all bark and no bite. Biden pulled a Ron Burgundy by reading the instruction pause on the teleprompter. And he's confused on who the real loser is. A new batch of polls in key swing states shows Biden trailing former President Trump in 6 out of 7 of them. Some Democratic strategists think Joe Biden's faltering because he's lost his superpower of empathy. Speaking of empathy, Kim Kardashian thinks Trump has it in spades.
How are you and Donald Trump right now? I think on the outs, right? No good?
Listen, I don't think he likes me very much.
Yeah.
But I'm okay. You know, I think he did amazing stuff with prison reform and let a lot of people out and signed an amazing bill, the First Step Act, and so that's what I'll focus on.
Stop discussion. Judge Jeanine, this is a new form we're seeing from Joe Biden. He's trying to trigger the former president, try to hit him with a left. Do you think that's going to pan out?
I tell you, what's gonna deliver the final punch to Joe Biden is the economy. We've got 17 million households in this country who are struggling to afford food. And when people can't afford food, they get really angry. And part of the reason that they can't afford food is because Joe Biden has put so much money into the economy, and Joe has to stop spending money and stop giving it away. But he doesn't care. He thinks he's buying everybody and buying vote. He keeps telling us that inflation is up only 3 or 4%, when the truth is, because of Joe Biden, we don't include food or gas in inflation. And right now, groceries are up 30%, rents are higher, interests are higher, homelessness is increasing, and credit cards are charged to the max for the first time in American history. This is the highest ever. It's a record high, and people are taking money out of their 401ks. So while illegals get money and the veterans don't, and we pay for pensions for employees in the UK or in Ukraine, and while 17 million Americans are hungry, Joe makes sure that 10 million, 11 million illegals get their food. People are going to be angry, not so much about Kim, and maybe it's because of Taylor going for Biden. Who knows what it is? But the truth is, he's going to lose on this.
Your plastic's not maxed out yet, right?
No.
Good.
She's got those black
No
cards,
limit, right?
No limit.
Oh, no limit. Okay.
No limit soldier over there.
We were always hearing about this big post-State of the Union Joe Biden bounce. Looks like it's dead now, according to Bloomberg.
Well, and also for Biden, so he can articulate all the polls where he's up, but he can't articulate a message to Jewish students at America's campuses. I mean, that's where I draw the line, and giving him the benefit of the doubt. There's also this whole idea of the empathy superpower. I think it's a myth.
I do too. Because
I think that ended at the withdrawal of Afghanistan, perhaps. I mean, that might have been the point, because his poll numbers have never really recovered since then. Also, East Palestine. Remember, he couldn't go there. But if you're going to try to own the good polls, you have to be willing to own the bad polls. And the polls are very difficult for them. That's why you have Democrats concerned. What they tell him he needs to do is be more fiery. And that fiery and yelling shows energy. I'm not sure that's going to work.
Do you think that came across well?
I think it came across fine, Jesse. How'd I do, Dan?
Did great.
Thanks, thank you.
You're president.
Listen, this whole election is going to come down to facts or feelings. The Biden administration is going to run on feelings. When you have his speeches there, he has Roe up on the wall because he knows what stopped the red wave was an emotional feeling response to what was going on with Roe versus Wade. So his whole thing is going to be feelings. So as we get closer, and we know Republicans, much like my sweet Boston Celtics, do not know how to maintain a lead. So we will do something before we're going into that will emotionally fire up his base. And the ones who are going to stay home or maybe think about crossing the line, they'll emotionally be connected because Republicans, we got to get on a feelings tour. We got to take some steps back, split the diff. President Trump is the one president right now that I think of the two that could bring the sides together, crazy idea, by maybe giving the Democrats or the independents something they want. And I know this is going to be, Judge looked at me, that was crazy when I threw this at her. He needs to think about having a different perspective on Roe versus Wade. If you take that away from the Biden campaign, what do they got? Then people will start worrying about economy and the cost of eggs and things like that. But you have to get the emotional side to vote for you. You can't just be facts, in my opinion.
Let's go to the most emotional man at the table.
Absolutely. So we're in the second inning of a ball game here, and the polls do not look good for President Biden. They've not looked good in the first inning, and now we're in the second inning. We're at a time in which the electorate is clearly unhappy and unsettled, unhappy with both candidates, to be candid about it. But it looks as if we're stuck with these candidates here. After what happened, to your point, Tyrus, in 2022 and even 2023 in the elections, I think we should all show some pause as we look at these issues. But Dana, I think, nailed it at the outset. Presidential re-elections are about the economy. And you said it too, Judge. It's about the re-elect for a president. You have to have the economy in good shape, solid shape, and looking as if it's growing to be reelected. I think abortion and the reproductive rights issue is powerful. It's more powerful than I thought, frankly, in 2022 and 2023, and I think it sustains itself. But I've always identified 3 dates: Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July, and really about the last week of August, because kids started to go back to school in big parts of the country, not where we live, Jesse, with our kids, but you all went back to school early down in Louisiana, and where I'm from in Tennessee. What's the cost of gas at Memorial Day? What's the cost of food and gas at 4th of July? And what's the cost of clothes and electronics, and even the things that are not included in that inflation number? And then you get to the home stretch in September and October. If the economy is not in a better position for everyday Americans, you cannot tell someone, the numbers say you're doing better than you are. There are a lot of politicians at home who said that. You have to have an economy that is moving in the right direction, costs that are coming down, the things you talked about, Judge, repeatedly on the show, including groceries. If that is not the case, we will be having a very different conversation come mid-August to mid-September.
Really good to have you back around the table.
Yes,
Glad to be back.
Really
Give me the benefit of the doubt now.
That's right.
Yes, always.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.